So he has to do.
There you
Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
okay, I need to make this a little bigger.
Can y'all see us?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Okay, I can't see nothing.
You can't see nothing yet?
Oh.
Good evening,
Hey,
everyone.
Al, can you
Good
see?
evening.
I can see, yeah, I can see everything.
Okay.
Okay, good. Let's open this up. So there you
All
go.
right.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Okay,
Well.
everybody.
Good evening.
Coming in, come on in. We're going to give you 2 minutes to get situated here and share the live. Start a watch party, do whatever you need to do. Tonight's going to be another night of good information, so go ahead and get situated. You're already home, so just chill. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, come on. So I want to be able to see.
Technical difficulties.
I think we're about there. Yeah, okay, come on in the room, as they say. As we promised last week, we are back. And last week we did COVID and our health.
Mhm.
And tonight we're gonna do COVID and our finances. So I'm gonna give you a minute before we jump right in. Talk about a few things, a few preliminary things. There's so many things coming up. You don't wanna miss those. Also, if you have questions, you want to text the word questions to 54244. If you have questions, and you should have questions, because I have some questions tonight regarding finances and things like that. So come on, jump on, share the feed.
Noah's getting a little shout out. They say, hey.
As always, we're joined by precious people. And so I'm going to give one more minute for you to jump on and share it, and then we'll introduce these great people that most of you already know. You've seen them before, but we're going to do some good talking and sharing tonight. This is a really important subject because although we are in a crisis, we don't have to have a financial crisis. And so a lot of times, you know, we are destroyed in many areas because we lack the knowledge. And so we want to give you some wisdom tonight, some information that you can build upon, that you can make some adjustments and changes regarding your monies, okay? So yeah, one more, what happened here? There you go. Questions. If you have questions, and you should have questions, text 54244. Text the word questions to 54244, or you can send an email to questions@lifelinechicago.com. Questions@lifelinechicago.com. You should have them. We're going to talk about all we can get in this hour tonight. But yeah, good. I see you coming on. I see you coming on. Yep. I even see my granny on here. She want to learn about her finances.
Never too late.
That's
Come
what's
on.
up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's get some introductions in. You see me?
You're moving out of the
I'm
shot.
moving out of the shot.
You got to
Okay.
be still
Still.
and
Okay.
know
And no.
that God is God.
I
Come
got you. I got you. Let's start with, in my top right, we have an elder at our church, Elder Darlene Rivers. And I want her to kind of introduce herself, who she is, where she comes from, all that good stuff. And really what qualifies you to sit here tonight and share with us, because that's very important. You have made great strides financially, and we want to hear about that. Talk with us so we can move from there.
Okay. Darlene Rivers, I have over 30 years in the financial industry. I've worked as a broker at Merrill Lynch. I had a Series 7 brokerage license. From there, I went to banking. I've done everything from operations to bank administrator. When I was an administrator, my clients were smaller banks. So I understand money, small banks, budgets. I worked in technology. I've worked from the voice response unit, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. I'm that person that makes you press all the buttons, okay? That was my job. I've done online banking. I've done mobile banking. In mobile banking, I was the first to do the full installment of what's known as cardless cash for BMO Harris, over 1,200 ATM machines. And that's so that you can now use your phone at the ATM machine. That was my project. And we were the first to do that in North America. I've worked from ACH to Lockbox in banking. I have a bachelor's degree in finance. I have an MBA. And come June, I will have my certificate in financial planning from Northwestern University. And so what kind of qualifies me is that I have been, my friends will tell you, I have been annoying them for years about their finances. And so God has just given me a passion to work with the saints, to apply biblical principles to your money.
That's good.
That's who I am.
That's good.
That's good.
Great. And so, and I know it sounds real deep, what you've done and what you've accomplished, but I know her to be very practical in her approach to helping, as she said, the saints with their finances. So we're glad to have her on tonight to share, answer questions, give wisdom, and that whole nine. And then we have
and I am debt free. Let's add that part.
Come on.
I am debt free.
That's what's up.
That's
Listen, share this. Hey, Jason, hey, everybody that's coming on still. Listen, share this, please. It's going to be a night of information, great information. There's what you wanted to get into. I wanted to put pieces on tonight, but I thought it would be too much. So we'll come back and do another one and talk about even the mortgage stuff and lending and all of that, because I don't want to cram too much. I'm going to give you just enough to take and do something with. Yeah. And so Elder Darlene, and that last thing about being debt free, that's what's up. I think that everybody's goal in their finances, and we want to help you in this little time kind of put legs to that, because we all talk about how we want to be debt free, but most are not doing what it takes to become debt free. And so thank you.
Like poof.
Yeah. And it's more than spiritual. Yeah. Okay. And so thank you. And then we have the Joneses. Yeah. Talk to us tonight about who you are.
Well, like you said, my name is Al, and
I'm Therese.
And I think what qualifies us to even talk about this is that just experience. We've been through this journey of becoming debt free, like Miss Rivers, Elder Rivers, and we paid off about $64,000 of debt in about a little over 2 years it took us. And it's just been a journey that, we've been on, and we had a lot of experience of just things that we've learned along the way and stuff that we can, share. We feel like we can share with other people, and how to prepare or how to pay off debt and how to prepare for times, such as this that we're living in right now. And I don't have a financial background. I just became hip to some information, and I took it and ran with it. And here we are. She's actually the one with the financial background. And I went to school to pursue law enforcement. And she's in, she deals with money. And here I am. I'm real passionate about money now. So
it's good. You know, I have a friend in Jacksonville who calls it common man prosperity. Whether you got a background in it or not, or you studied it or not, you have a heart to be prosperous financially and a heart to understand all things finances so you can live in that area. And so that's how I look at you guys. You guys have, in the last couple of years, you just have taken flight to this and in practical ways that we can look at you and say, man, if Alden could do that, Alden could do that, especially in your age, things like that, even with me, so much, we talk about a lot, but people sometimes after a while go faster, they don't have their money together. And it's true either, but when they people who are doing common things financially, it grabs you. It what do you call it? It inspires you.
Right.
It convicts you, and it makes you want to do better with your money. So, did you want to share anything, Therese?
Oh, I just wanted to share that we were previous students of Elder Rivers.
Oh, that's right.
All the things that taught us, we took it from the class and applied it. Actually went home and did the work. So shout out to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Out the class and we took the stuff home, and here we are 2.5 years later. So
thank you.
That's good. That's key. Taking not just getting the information, because sometimes
doing it.
We just want to get. And we converse with so much information, but if we don't do anything with it, we won't see the results of it. So that's good. You're taking the information. You took the information 2.5 years ago. You did it, and you see results. So that's very good.
Powerful stuff. And as you can see, baby Noah is on the call tonight.
He's sitting here with
everybody's home. They have two little ones there. I saw baby Noah's 6 months now.
Yeah,
6 months today.
Yeah. And how old is Trey?
4.
Trey is
4. He'll be 5 in November. So
but
y'all hear noise in the background. He's back there playing with toys and watching the movie.
Yeah, so it happens. So if you guys are watching and learning about your money, and you see little feet run across and the SpaghettiOs hit the screen, hey, it is what it is. I have a 15-year-old and a 15-year-old, and we just may have the same thing happen, although we told them we're on the call.
Right, we told them stay downstairs,
matter.
But
so let's jump into some things one more time. If you have questions tonight, please send those, and you should have questions. You can text them to 54244, the word questions, or you can email questions@lifelinechicago.com. Okay, so I'm hearing that we're freezing up. I don't want to freeze up on you. I want you guys to hear me well. Okay. All right, let's keep going, y'all. Let me know if it's getting better. Let's jump into, and I want to start with just Al and Therese. Give us a few practical keys to managing during this time, because one of the things that happened today, most people woke up a little bit more stimulated this morning. Most people woke up to $1,200 in their account, or $2,400 in their account, or $3,400 in their account, based on your household. And we don't want people to kind of freak out about that and miss, although you still can mismanage that if you're not careful. So give us a few practical keys to managing your money in this crisis, really.
I think the first and foremost thing is to come up with a plan. Whether you're single or married. If you're single, sit down and come up with a plan. Once you get it, if you're married, sit down with your spouse and get on the same page as far as what is to be done with this money that you have come into. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is they get money not really knowing what to do or have a plan for it, and now it's gone, and now you're trying to figure out, man, what did I do with that money? So I think first and foremost, sit down and spend the money on paper before you actually spend the money. And one of the things we did, before we even got it, there was a calculator online to show how much you were expected to get back. So we did our homework and was like, well, we're going to ballpark and see how much we're expected to get back. And once we got that, we wrote down on paper. We didn't write down on paper, but we basically calculated how much is going where, and also just assessing your financial situation at that particular time. So, we know the coronavirus has affected people in many different ways. So some people are either out of work, some people are still working, some people have been furloughed for a couple of weeks at a time or whatever the case may be. So it's really up to the person to figure out where they are financially as far as work-wise. So you want to talk about what they have, if they working or?
Yeah, so if you're an essential worker and you're still working, income is still coming in, you may need to just save it. That situation may change. You may think that there's nothing that's going to happen to your job, but that could change. We don't know the future. So the smart thing to do is to save it. Pay your tithes and save it.
Right.
We paid our tithes this morning.
Right. And like she said, because I'm still working, she's still working, and I work in law enforcement, so I'm considered an essential worker, but you just never know at any given day that can change. I seen today on the news, Governor Pritzker was talking about, the state is looking at like a $2 billion shortfall in the budget. So who knows what can happen, so I can just to get laid off, I pray it doesn't happen, but you just never know. So because we're still working, we just put it aside because we don't need it right now, just in case if we do need it. So we don't want to get caught in the situation where we spent it and something happens and now we're just sitting there with no contingency plan.
Yeah, and if you, and if you're a person who did get laid off and did get furloughed, this stimulus check would be used to pay bills and necessities, food, and bills that can't get pushed down the road.
Right.
Because I know the government announced different things you can do, like forbearing your mortgage for 180 days, things like that. But there's certain things that you can't kick down the road, like food. You need to go buy food.
Right. So if you're someone who is like, like she said, who is laid off, and use this money to fill in that gap. Like that's what it's for. It's there to assist those who are caught up on hard times because of job loss or whatever. So just be smart with it. We have to be good stewards of what God's bestowed us. So he gave it to us, and we squander it, and then looking around like where my money at. It's like it's really only your fault. So just make sure you're a good steward of what you were given, and like you said, just assessing your situation and where you at financially, and then take those steps accordingly.
Yeah, I like that. Assess your situation and spend it on paper first.
Yep.
Somebody said online, give your money a mission.
Yeah.
You might have said that's what we're doing. When you write it out on paper, you're giving your money a mission, because if you don't give it a mission, it will spend itself. And like you said, you don't know where it went. It's like, where did this one go?
And that's happened.
I like how you broke it down, because everybody's case is different. Some people are laid off, some people are furloughed, some people, still have money coming in. So you assess your situation and you spend it on paper. If you are good right now, then don't go looking for things to buy. Save money, put it away. I personally feel like you shouldn't be buying anything right now unless it is absolutely necessary. I don't care what it is or how it is, or it's on sale right now, unless you really need it and it's necessary. I don't think anybody should be buying anything right now.
Absolutely. Because I know people think, we locked up in a house and the TV is essential because you locked up, but it ain't.
Yeah.
And they have so many deals I've seen online. Stuff online. Amazon is still going, and that's just a click of a button. So it's easy to spend online, even though the stores are not open.
Absolutely. And I've even seen car commercials promoting that, hey, you can come in and buy a car and no payments for 90 days for, It's like, why do you want somebody who's in financial stress to come in and buy a car? It's like, that's backwards in my opinion.
That's true.
So jump in here and give us a few practical tips you may have, you haven't already mentioned.
Well, I was going to say that, we always say that, the enemy is always after our extra. And some people think that the stimulus check is an extra. And so there's always going to be some place to spend it. And I like what he said, don't spend it and wonder what happened. Because when all of this, and my aunt gave me some very good advice when all this started happening. She says, baby, don't use your faith when you should be using wisdom. And so wisdom says, make a plan. And then you don't have to go through this, sackcloths and ashes, and you're throwing ashes on yourself because you don't have no money, So I love, like, just assess what you're doing. And the other thing that I would say that's so key is that this is not one size fits all. We're all in different stages. And so a lot of times people say, I didn't get anything. Well, you got to get what's appropriate for you, you know, because they did a great YouTube, and as he was talking, I was like, oh, I guess I better stop clicking on Amazon. He was like, stay off of Amazon. But I was like, it's on sale, and I'm gonna be home, and it's only $10. Well, at the, $10 adds up. Then it becomes, and all I got is a bunch of shiny stuff at home because I'm doing arts and crafts. Really?
Yeah.
I need to eat.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Let's be wise about what we do.
Yeah. Or getting on there buying clothes and you ain't going nowhere.
Right. Yeah. And you might not be able to fit them after this is over.
You've been reacquainted with the refrigerator. Come on, man. I don't need to.
Okay, so listen, we moved to a different spot than we normally are, and I'm hearing that we're freezing up. And I'm getting you guys real good. If you're watching and we're freezing up, type that in so we can fix that, because I want to make sure you don't lose anything. Yeah, but check. First of all, it's not free money. Let's make that clear. It is not free. If I'm not mistaken, you have to file it on your taxes next year. Did you all hear that? As income?
I thought that they were gonna. I'm not a tax professional, but it shouldn't affect your taxes. It'll be included as income, but there also should be a credit that'll offset it.
Got you. Okay.
But that's not. But who knows? They may increase taxes in other places to make up for this stimulus package, but it should be offset on your income taxes.
And I guess the one thing that I would add, and I hate to be a wet blanket, is that you really should not be dependent on this check. A couple of people told me today they got a check. I still click and I didn't see no money. So, okay, for different reasons, some of us gonna be delayed. Some of us are at a higher income. You're not gonna get a check. Mm-hmm. In my case, I did not receive any money, nor did I pay any money. So there's no bank account to send it to. So now I gotta wait for the check to come in. So I think you still need to be prudent while you're waiting for that money.
Absolutely.
That's good.
So I'll say, what's the next question? So guys, what should they be spending on?
Like we said, or was mentioned earlier, like at our house, we've kind of put into place like this non-essential spending plan. So we taking care of like you said, if it's not deodorant or milk for the babies or food, or the mortgage, we're not spending money on it. So it's like, putting those things in place first, and then everything else that we have left, if we have anything left, put it aside in savings. So that way, once this whole thing is over with, whatever we have in savings left over, it's a plus for us, instead of spending it and then we get to the end of it, or it continues longer than we expected, and now we run out of money. So
another thing we did was reevaluate our budget. Some things went up and some things went down. Mm-hmm. So right now the gyms are closed, so we're not paying gym membership fees. Yep. The daycare is closed, so that's a huge
that was a blessing actually
for us that is not going out right now. But one thing that did go up is food. We hear a lot more, so we're spending a lot more on food. But we're not eating out as much, so that should go down. So you have to reevaluate your budget, and you may even find that you could save more.
Yeah, because that's our situation, because we have 2 boys in daycare, and we pay a significant amount of money per week for daycare. So since the daycares are closed and we're able to work, we're actually able to save that money instead. So it actually helps us out and benefits us, except for the fact that when she's at home and she's trying to work, it kind of bothers her sometimes. Mm-hmm. I got to kind of keep them out the way, but that's one of the things. It actually turned out to be a blessing. And then, like you said, she's working from home now, so we don't have to pay tolls, or we're not spending money on gas, and that's less money we have to spend there. We can save. So we actually add a little bit to our grocery budget because we're home, we're cooking more, we eat more snacks.
Right.
you know. So.
You eat more.
more juice boxes are going to be needed, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
I think that's an excellent point, that because in some cases people did save money and now they're thinking, oh, okay, well, now I can spend on this. And we're saying, no, you know, you really need to. And I love you guys, because one thing I always tell people, know the difference between a want and a need.
Absolutely.
You know, and once you know that, then you can know what your budget is. And just because you saved on childcare, that didn't mean that, because I think you were talking about you wanted a camera or something. So you know, somebody's okay, now we have the money. You do not have the money.
Right.
You need to be
Yep.
prudent at this time. So
Yep.
I think that's just an excellent logic.
And then also with that, I mean, because like we're not saying don't spend it all. We're just saying,
oh yeah,
save it. And then once all this is over with, and then, you know, you're still sitting there with that money in the account, if you want it, go get it. But I think right now is not a wise time to do that, because,
right.
you know, we don't know how long this is going to last. So,
Right. And you're spending on your needs and not your wants. And that's what's important. You guys have been able to identify, because I remember you saying you had just turned the cable on, and now with this going on, you were like, uh-oh. So you knew already what to cut. You didn't have to have a long conversation. You were like, we lived without it. We're going to live without it again.
Exactly.
And we're good. You know,
You turned it back off?
I'm sorry?
Al, you turned the cable back off?
no, we still have the cable on. So
You do?
yeah, we do have the cable on.
We cut it on after we paid off the
Yeah,
debt.
so once we paid off debt, we cut it back on because, you know, we were
Right.
working towards that goal. So,
But I thought you had turned it off once this virus hit.
no.
We switched back to Comcast.
Yeah, we switched cable companies because it was saving us some money, but
Okay, here's
we
the
always
thing.
looking for a deal.
Okay, we got questions coming in. Do you all? Okay, I was freezing up, so we came to a whole nother room. Is this better for those that are watching? Is it better for you? Because we're going to get into some meat now, okay? Because the questions are rolling in. Here is one of the big ones here, and I want us to take a jump at this. And hopefully you've got all the nuggets they've dropped on you so far. I don't believe COVID is something we're going to kind of get through, and then we're back to normal. I believe normal as we knew it doesn't exist anymore. I also believe this is the first of many things that's going to hit our nation. So if you did not prepare for this, how do you prepare? Here's a question. How do you prepare now in crisis for maybe potentially another crisis? Because so many people totally ignored warnings, totally ignored the whole put 3 months of your expenses up and things like that. And they did not prepare for this. And this is not to beat anybody up, but how do you start right now preparing in a crisis for a potential crisis?
What's happening? I'll start. One of the things that we've been talking about in the body is about how this crisis has been a reset. It's been a reset spiritually, and for a lot of people, it's going to be a reset financially. And so, you know, yeah, you didn't do those things, but we have so much word and you have so much knowledge that now you can set yourself up. So if you did not do an emergency fund, now you know to do an emergency fund. Now that you've been home for a while, you know what's essential, because the question has always been, how much does it cost to run your house? And people never did the homework. Well, the homework's been done for you. You know how much it takes to feed you all and to shelter you. So once you know that, you can set yourself up, because now you know how much emergency fund you need. You know how much you need to lay aside. You know what you can cut, what you can't cut, you know. So I think that all of that prepares you for what's coming next. And I agree. I don't believe this is going to be the end of it. Every week, something else is, you know, pretty much going up in flames.
It's not to make you fear. It is to make you get on top of your game and prepare.
Right.
We got to prepare. I have to prepare. I have to get into this whole thing of having the 3 months or 6 months, whatever your deal is. You got to do that because we don't want to be in a place where when these things hit, we're just in trouble. We're in line for bread and waiting for help from the government. We got to prepare ourselves even in this for the next thing.
Yeah.
I hear that we're still frozen, but I'm glad you all can hear us. Just let us know if you can't hear us.
Yeah, you're frozen. I mean, the picture's frozen, but we can still hear you guys.
We can still hear you. Yeah. You know, and I would say the other thing that I've been hearing spiritually is that we need to live intentionally. For a long time, we've been doing the same old, and going through the motions. And that's why we don't know how much it costs us to live. And so when you live intentionally, you know what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So you need to answer some of these questions. And so that's, and then the last thing I would say is, I'm sorry, I got to go old school. Don't eat your seed.
That's good.
You can't eat a seed's this big, okay? It's not going to sustain you. My best friend always says, I sow my seed because I can't live off of that. So, you know, in the market, people are saying, going to the market, all the saints are looking for good ground. We got, every time pastors say, if you don't have money to give, we'll give for you. My spirit jumps up. I'd be like, damn, we don't have no money, you know, but my spirit keeps saying, this is a time to sow. Don't eat your seed.
Yeah, that's important.
Don't bury it in the ground.
He talks about how he's sold in famine, he's sold in crisis, and it's going to fold. So that's not old school, that's sound Bible principle. That's a law that'll never play out. But one of the things you talked about is knowing how you live. That goes back to putting things on paper, like Alden said. You gotta plan out your household on paper first. If you don't do that, you'll always be up in the air, all over the place, because your money doesn't have a mission.
And you'll potentially be living above your means instead of beneath your means.
Yeah. For years, we thought because we had it, it was okay to spend it recklessly. And that's never okay. That's never okay. All right.
Well, I had a question for Al and those guys, because one of the things that I'm saying to people is you need to forecast out your spending. You need to forecast at this point, I'm saying 3 years, because you need to know if you need a new car, is your washer old, is your dishwasher old? So do you guys forecast out like more than a year or two financially?
Yeah, that's actually something we're doing like right now, because we know that my car is going to be replaced, and we're basically forecasting that this time next year that we'll be able to buy another car to replace my old car cash, so we don't have to have a car note or anything. So we're actually right now actively saving money every month to put up to, once we reach a certain amount, we can go purchase a car. And so we plan out ahead how much something costs, and then we divide it up by how quick or how far out we want to reach it. So that's great. But there's one thing that you just said about that I really love. You said intentional living, and I think that's one of the things a lot of people fail at doing, because you don't accidentally prosper. It takes intentionality. Like this morning, it's crazy because we actually assessed our financial situation again, and we went through bare bones. How much does it cost to run our house? Like,
especially now that we're debt free.
Especially now that we're debt free. So it was like, well, and we kind of already knew it, but we do it anyway. It's kind of become like, flexing the muscle. The more we do it, the more we know. So it's like, well, at any given time, we know exactly, like you said, what's essential, and that's being intentional. We putting a close eye on our money and knowing where everything is going, and so that way, we're not just gonna wake up one day and like, oh, I don't know how we became, wealthy. It's like we know exactly how we did it. We paid attention to everything.
Yeah.
Good. So the next question that came in here, do you recommend refinancing while the interest rates have dropped?
Therese, I would say I don't see any reason why not. If you consider the closing costs, sometimes they'll tell you to refinance, and then after you add all this up, you really haven't saved anything. So you just want to make sure you include all of the cost, and if it makes sense, then that's fine. But on the other hand, if what I did with my mortgage was I refinanced, but I refinanced for 20 because I knew that I could pay more on it and get it paid down sooner.
Absolutely.
So you can always add more. So if you find out that the closing costs are so high that you really haven't saved anything, you can just always apply additional payments to get there sooner.
Yeah. And I think too, like you said, refinancing, you got to count up how much it costs to refinance. So like for us, if we can actually refinance right now and our payment will be a lot lower, but like you said, at the beginning, you have to assess your financial situation. We don't plan on being here for more than another year and a half. So if the closing costs, if we're not going to make those closing costs back and what we pay the difference as a lower price in these year and a half, it's not worth it for us to do it. So it's all about like, and that's been intentional. We actually ran the numbers and went through, okay, is it feasible for us to refinance right now? And when we ran the numbers, it's like, well, we actually either breaking even or we really not saving anything. So it's more of a headache. So I'd rather not do it.
Right. It was an exercise in paperwork. One year I went to refinance, and by the time they did the paperwork, it cost me more to sit in the house I was already in. I said, how is that possible? You know, why is it more money and I'm already sitting here? You know, so you got to be careful of the cost. All right, so okay, we can't hear you. So we're gonna go to the next question, right?
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to kind of talk about, and I talk to people about, I don't have some on it, but I also know that, you know, in the body, we have a lot of gifts and talents. And so during this time, I don't want people to ignore that. You know, we're hearing people are starting businesses because perhaps that was something you should have done some time ago.
Right.
And so that's also a way of saving money. You know, the seasoned saints always tease me because for years, my goal was to grow food year round. So they're always like, what's growing in the basement? You know, I do hydroponics. But what I'm finding is it's something that God's given me a love for. So the idea now is if I can get this to work, can I show the saints how to do it so everybody can do it? Or can I turn this into a business? And so, you know, people, I just encourage people to listen. You may have some gifts and talents that are saving you money. You need to act on them, or God may be telling you to expand on those, not maybe necessarily to make money, but to help other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned using your talents to make extra money, and to kind of go to that other question of how do you prepare for the next pandemic or the next emergency. I think the harsh reality is that some people honestly just don't make enough money. And that's the reality of some people's situation. So either if it's an education problem or you have to work a second job just for a season to put money aside so that if something else happens, you're able to sustain. I think that might be what you have to do. But in this time, we feel like if you're treading water until you can get to a place where you can do more, I feel like you actually you're winning right now. But the goal is to get from treading water to, you know, prosper.
Right. So to get to more than enough, so you can kind of breathe. And you know, when you have enough, you don't have the stress.
Yep.
And I think that's what we're trying to tell people about debt. You know, I always say I hate it, but it's so stressful on you. It's stressful on your body.
Yep.
So, but and I do agree. I don't think this is the end of this. And so I think that, you know, we just not to warn people, but just be prepared, just be wise.
Yeah. And that's I like what you mentioned about just the stress part. We don't have stress and we have peace in this season of uncertainty because we don't have these extra payments. We don't have to worry about, hey, if I get laid off and she gets laid off, you know, who's gonna pay the car note? Who's gonna pay the credit card bill? Who's gonna pay the student loan payments? It's like we don't have to worry about this stuff. That's peace to us, knowing that if something happens, that's something we don't ever have to worry about again.
Yeah, because of COVID-19, I was furloughed for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
They did spread it out, so it's a week in April, May, and June, but it's still in effect because there's 3 checks and be half of what they normally are. But because we're debt free, because we have our emergency fund, I took the news in stride.
Yeah.
It's like
this is extra time off.
Yeah. My furlough week start next week, and I'm looking forward to that. So yeah.
What was that question?
Yeah.
Do you recommend buying a home during this time? There was a question just came on. It says, "Do you recommend buying a home during the time?"
Okay, I think we're back.
Okay.
Can you see us and hear us?
We can see and hear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looks a lot
There
better.
you go.
Yes. We kept chatting about being prepared for the next crisis.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
We're not gonna let nothing stop this here.
No, we're still sharing information and definitely helping people get on track, not be in
Gotcha.
fear, but being able to move forward.
Yeah.
So another question we have here is, just because the banks are offering the 2-month, 3-month forbearance, should we do that if you don't really have to? Because some people are doing it just to save out on not having to pay mortgage for a couple months or whatever. Should you do that?
I'm gonna give my.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is just my personal opinion, and we talked about this, but I was joking about it, and she was like, I think how many millions of people? She was just saying that you can get your mortgage in forbearance for like 180 days,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, we're saving money for a house right now. What if we just put ourselves on hold for 180 days? And
Yeah.
And she said no, but I was actually joking. But me personally, and it's just personal.
Mhm.
I feel like morally I wouldn't do it because I don't need it. I think those programs like that are set up for people whose jobs are in danger, who have been laid off, and they actually need it. And I don't know how that system works. I don't know if there's a certain number or quota that they're able to allow a certain amount of people to do this. And I don't want to take up one of those spots if I don't have to.
Right.
Interest.
And you're still incurring interest
Yes.
on the loan.
So that's why I wouldn't do it.
That's why you wouldn't do it.
And that's what I was going to ask you. You still have to pay the interest. So you didn't pay the mortgage, but they're still tacking on interest the whole time. And then for some of us, all guys said the devil don't like me because every time I call for a program, I go, no. I'm like, why? And you liked me before all of this. So
Right.
You could spend your time on that call because American Express and I am now having a falling out, okay? But you could call for your interest rates to be reduced, and then you spend all that time, and then they tell you something crazy, like they told me Monday. You were late in December, so no, we can't give you any of this. And I said, well, in the past, I've been a member for 88, from 1988. I'm used to good service. What is this,
Right.
So it is definitely equalizing. So you could go for it and you might not get it, or you will incur more interest than you actually thought you were going to get. So you didn't save anything.
Now Al said something key that I don't think people consider. He said morally, because let's just say they only have so many of these slots that they can fill.
Yep.
And you take one from a family that really needs it.
Yeah.
Because you have money to pay your mortgage or keep paying whatever that needs to be paid, but because it's available, you'll take it. So I mean, that was a question. I think these are legitimate questions because there's so many things that people are being told, they're hearing through social media, and they don't know, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? And so that was a good question and a good answer, a good approach to that. What about buying a house now?
Yeah.
He said no.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Now I heard it's the perfect time to buy a house.
And I'll put it this way, because we're saving for a house right now. We want to move out, so we're gonna sell our house, take the money, and run and buy a new house. But I'll put it this way: if you have the cash to buy the house, if you're rolling like that, then I mean, yeah, it's a perfect time to buy it. But the only reason I have caution is because of uncertainty. Like, we don't know. So you can go and get qualified and approved for a mortgage based on right now. And then next month, when this stuff is extended for another 3 months and your job decides to lay you off because they can't sustain keeping you on payroll, now it's like, well, you got yourself into some doo-doo. So it's like, well, we're going to wait it out and just keep saving money. So if this thing continues to go out, however long, and then once we're in a position to, we feel comfortable buying it, then we'll do it. So.
Yeah. And I think you also need to be careful because there's some documents going around saying that the county is reassessing property values. And so You're trying to buy now thinking that the house is worth X. Well, if they come back and reassess everyone based, because remember, they only do that every 3 years. They're saying they're going to reassess the entire Cook County. So everybody gets, so now you could buy a house thinking it's worth, $1 million, but after assessment, it may not be. So you can actually end up upside down. So unless you had intentionally intended to buy this house, you might want to caution.
See, this is why we need the mortgage down here,
Right,
to answer some of these questions. I didn't know these kinds of questions would come in tonight, but these are very good answers. Al said just wait it out. I think in hearing from God on what to do, it is okay to wait. It is, there's a lot of deals in the land. Yeah, a lot of things are on sale. Prices are dropping, but you got to make sure you are hearing what you should be doing.
That's right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's very key that we don't just jump in the races because somebody said, or you even heard a prophetic word, or you saw something on Facebook that jumped in your spirit. What is God telling you to do? And Al said, what if down the line this goes 3 more months and you do get laid off? And he's mentioned it a few times. I don't think that is fear speaking. I think it is wisdom. It is you counting up costs and looking at the full picture of things, and not just moving in haste because somebody said, or you heard, or somebody said it's a perfect time to buy everything. I think it is key that you know what you should be doing. Ephesians chapter 5.
know what the will of God
what
is.
the will of the Lord is for you.
Yep.
And somebody else may go out and buy a house, and it may be the perfect time for them, and they get a great deal, and it all works out. It may not be for you. And so waiting it out may be everybody's portion until they hear what to do. Just chill out. If you don't need the stimulus money, put it in savings and chill with that. If you do, as Teresa said earlier, then pay some bills, get some food, take care of your right now. The thing about right now is, he says, I'll give you every day your daily bread. Take care of your right now, and let God worry about or deal with tomorrow. Don't even be concerned about what am I going to do come Friday or next Monday. Just focus on right now. Give me today what I need to eat today for me and my family. Because at the end of the day, if you are a believer, God will always provide. And he says, even the sun shines on the what? Just and the unjust. You will never fall beneath the line of provision, which means he's going to always provide for you. And I need you to understand that. So don't, these are great questions, and I hopefully the wisdom you're getting is helping. But at the end of the day, what is God saying to you for you?
Yeah, and I like the what is he saying to you? Because like you said, the time when we do decide to buy, it could still be chaos.
Right.
It might not be a time when this is over. It might just be, okay, yeah, he's telling us to buy right now. This is what he told us personally.
Yeah.
So,
I think we sometimes negate that whole voice, that personal voice. In times like this, we started giving ear to a lot of other voices. And it's okay because God uses all kinds of voices for wisdom, but you move on his voice. And you gotta know that was his voice that I heard. Even if it came through somebody, I know that was God and that was for us. Could have been a room full of people and you heard by now. And then somebody else could have heard wait or be still or save. And so that's why his voice is so important, because you can go through even Facebook tonight and stop at 4 more live broadcasts and they'll all be saying something different. And there's no way you can say, well, that was for me. And that was for me too. And I watched a little bit of that and that was for me. No, and it could all be wisdom. Somebody could be saying, hey, it's time for all of us to sit back and wait on God. And somebody could be saying it's time for all of us to move ahead in Jesus' name. They both can be right, but what's right for you?
Yep.
Very key. Any more questions coming in? What about the ones that are not in debt, but they're trying to build up credibility? They're trying to build up their credit during this time. I guess that's what they're asking. I'm not in debt. I'm trying to build up my credit. I guess, how do you do that during this time?
So credit is an interesting monster. And I call it that because if you look at credit, the score is based on one thing, and that's debt. It's how much debt you got to how much you have available, how long you've been in debt, and how worthy you are of paying debt payments back. So you got to ask yourself, like us, we decided we made the vow we will never borrow money ever again except for buying a house. So that's the only reason we actually care about our credit score. We actually have great credit scores, but we can care less. It's outside the fact that we want to buy a house. So building credit, I would say if you have because my thing is I don't want to tell people to go into debt to build credit. I think that's backwards, because it's like when you go into debt to build credit, so that you can go into debt, so that you can build credit. It's just like it's a revolving door. It's like, I go get a credit card so I can build my credit score up, so that I can get approved for another loan, so I can pay that off and make my credit score go up. So it's like you in this cycle of always being into debt and making payments. And we've been, and that's because our thing is getting rid of payments so that we can start building wealth. I'd rather build wealth than credit.
Right. And I love what you said in one of your classes. You said the only reason you need credit is to go into debt.
Yeah.
And so if the object is to get out of debt, so if you wanna improve your credit, it's real basic. You got to pay on time. You have to, if your limit is 10,000, you need to spend only 30% of that.
Yep.
Okay. Pay on time. Keep the amounts low. Things like that. But the only reason, again, I'm with Alan, that the only reason you need credit is to go into debt.
Okay.
So we don't want to encourage them to incur more.
Right. Because like you think about it, debt is one of the most aggressively marketed products in the country. From car notes to jewelry to credit cards. Like there's a website to help you find which credit card is the best for you. And it's like this country is designed to help people get into debt. And I think, in my opinion, that's why the country is where it is. You look at somebody like Boeing, an airplane company. The country shuts down for 2 weeks, and now they need a bailout because they've been so deep into debt that they can't handle their finances. For 2 weeks. You've been out of business for 2 weeks, and now you need a bailout. It's like, so the whole country is living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Because you have so much debt, you have assets, and you're sophisticated that when something doesn't work, meaning you don't have people to pay you so that you can pay your creditors, now your whole world is to shambles, and now you're knocking on the door of the government asking them to bail you out.
Wow. And you mentioned I'd rather build wealth than credit. So Another question is this a good time to invest, to look into stocks and things of that nature? Is it a good time for that during this crisis, or should we wait for that as well?
I think I'll answer that because I've had a few questions on that. And I think number one, always, if you're going to, investing in stocks is long-term. So that's number one. You got to be in that game for at least 5 to 10 years. This is not a short race, okay? But anytime you're going to go into the market, you need to pray about it first, okay? What the analysts are saying and what the advisor is saying, absolutely. If you have your if you have yourself set up where you have your emergency fund and you have excess, what they call excess cash, then you have money to go into the market. Because right now, because the market's been going down, you can get some great buys.
Discount.
Okay. But you need wisdom on which one to buy.
Yep.
And that's the thing. So yeah, I have two streams coming at me. One is, I've got some of my seasoned saints, they trying to get out the market. They're running like their hair is on fire. And then I've got my younger people saying, I need to get into the market. So yes, if you have, money and you are, you've done the things you need to do, you're working portion order, you've got your savings, you've got your retirement set up, you've got your emergency fund, then you now have excess cash to go into the market.
Yeah, that's good. And I like you laid it out perfectly because you said if you have it, you got your other order operations in order, you got your emergency fund, you got all your other financial stuff in order. It'll be foolish for you to invest into the stock market and you have this ton of liabilities laying over here, and then it's not going to save you. So yeah, it's a good time to buy if you have it. So if you can get to the stock market if you have it, then yeah, it's a great time to buy.
But you notice
for some people, it's even good if like with us, you can call because I know some people at my job, other troopers are like, man, I need to call, our payroll and get my money out of my retirement because I'm taking my money and running. And I'm like, dude, like if you do that, you're gonna lose money because historically the stock market's gonna rebound. Like you said, it's a long-term game, 5-10 years down the line. And that's another thing you have to assess where you are. I'm 30 years old, so I have a long time until I get to that point.
Wait for it to come back.
Yeah, for it to come back. So it's a lot of things you have to consider as it relates to should you buy now or or if you have it.
Yeah, and can I kind of address that people getting out of their 401k plan?
Please.
Okay, because and to my seasoned saints, I'm talking I'm gonna get close to the screen. I'm talking to y'all, okay? Because I am where you are, all right? So what God started showing me, because we hear all the time, there's fact and then there's truth, okay? And so, the market has been going down. So I'm gonna not be too technical, but so on March 9th, the market went down, 7.79, all right? And all the reports came out, the economy, we're concerned, but it's that there's a lot of other things going on. One of the biggest players in this market is pension plans and 401 plans. And so on March 9th, when they started announcing that this disease was on American soil, the pension plans needed money. They don't keep a lot of cash. And so they didn't know if people were going to come and try to borrow from their 401s or whatever. So they had to go to the market. Okay. And they're one of the biggest players because when you take a loan off your 401k, they don't sell your stock. They give you cash. And so they didn't have cash on hand. So they went to the market. Okay. So then on March 12th, the market fell again. Well, on March 11th, that's when they named it a pandemic. So at this point, again, the pension people, the 401k people, they went back into the market to sell again. But this time, especially the pensioners, they were selling because that pension is guaranteed until you leave here. So they needed to get cash, and they took that cash. When you research it, you find they took the cash and they put it in the bond market. It didn't just leave so that they could pay those pensions, all right? So then the news comes up and they says, oh, you lost 20% of your investment. So for all my seasoned saints, I was with you. I didn't even have time to go to my war room closet, okay? It was like, what? I'm doing the math and I'm like, okay, hold on, Lord. What are we saying? Because we have set this money up. We're not trying to get another job. We need this money to last us till Jesus comes. And when you tell me I lost 20%, that's like telling Al and them they just lost a year college for their kids. Or you got to work another year or 2 years. That's a lot of money. But what God showed me was, he says, now there's fact and there's truth. He says, the fact is that they're saying you lost 20%. Well, that's because they put the 2 days together. They put the 9th and the 12th together to come up with 20%. Then they compared it to February 12th, which was one of the highest days in history almost. So you really didn't lose 20%. Okay. Also, because you have compounded interest, you only put in $5, it's worth $1,000 now. So what God said was go back, look at where your investments were at the end of the year. He said, you're going to be real close to that number. He said, do not panic. And what he said is, my plans for you have not changed. So unless you need that money to live off of, you need to pray on that money. Because also, I have one client, poor wife, he keeps telling, turn the lights off. Do you know how much money I lost? He's looking at it every day. And that was the second thing God said, stop looking at it, But if you don't need that money to live off of, it's not a loss until you sell it. It's a paper loss. And the market is expected to come back, what they say, about 17 months. They expect it to be back to where it was. So now if you sell now, you have a true loss.
You lost. There's no gain in that.
You need to pray on that. And I mean, even the analysts are saying, don't panic. Don't run out here. What I would tell my seasoned saints is when you start looking at setting yourself up before the next crisis, look at your emergency fund. Now that I'm telling people, for my seasoned saints, you need to increase that, because you need to ride this out. And if it's 17 months, you need 17 months emergency fund, not 6 months, because you don't have another income. And you don't want to go into this market while it's up and down and flipping and running. And, trust me, I have to go into the market. I function like the pension plans. I didn't have a lot of cash. So every time I get ready to, push the button to sell something, I'm praying. I'm in tongues. Yeah. But if you don't have to, don't increase your emergency fund. And as always, we can't stress enough, you need to get guidance on this. Be careful what you hear, because like you said, all your coworkers, they running around, and like you said, they running around selling, and all the other people buying, because they driving the market down, and they sitting there like, greedy little people. Yeah, they buying up your stuff as you selling it, and you taking a loss.
So the first thing you said with the question, for your first answer was pray. I think we cannot negate that in all of these questions we're getting, you're going to have to pray and hear God for you regarding this. Like somebody wants to know, should they borrow from their 401k? There are no straight answers for that. I do know if you borrow right now, I don't think there's a fee. I don't think there's a penalty right now. But all of this stuff that we are questioning or considering or we heard we can do, it is best that you pray and ask God what you should do for you. We can give you wisdom. We can give you some answers that based on what we know, what we've read, we've done even. But just because I did something, or the Joneses did something, or you did something, Darlene, and it worked or whatever, doesn't mean that's for everybody, or that's your answer for the person who's asking the question. We gotta ask God. We gotta, right now, there are some things we are doing, but there's also a lot of things we're just not doing because we're not clear on it. And I always say, if you're not clear, don't move. Don't go doing stuff if you're not certain, if you're not clear. I want to make sure we're clear on what we're putting our hands to, what we're putting our money in, and not just doing things because it's the time to do it. And so, pray. I'm glad you answered that first. Pray, because it was about the market. Should we get into stocks and investing? You said pray, because you don't want to jump out and take the money you do have, and you don't know anything about this, and you wake up and your money's gone or it wasn't what you thought, and because it's a risk regardless. But so you want to pray and ask God, what should you be doing?
Right, and you don't know if that's your seed. And now you've just taken your seed that God wanted you to put it to something else, and you put it in the market. And so you don't ever want to get ahead of God. You want to make sure that you're clear on where you're doing, because then you have peace. And so if the market, like I said, when the market fell the second time, that's when I looked up, and in fact, I didn't look up because of the number. I looked up because of the mechanism behind it, because they hit that trigger. There's a trigger set on the stock market that if it starts to go down too fast, they stop trading. And that's what woke me up. And I said, okay, I know what that means. So I was like, okay, it could be worse than what it is. But I still don't want to get ahead. And the reason I'm talking to the seasoned saints, because a lot of times people say, well, you're not living through what I'm living through. I'm going to be transparent. I was in the process of reorganizing and moving my whole pension and 401k plan. So I got a lot of money in play at this point. So I know what it looked like. Like I said, when I started doing rough math, God was like, don't even look at it. You need to sit down. It was so bad that the investing people that I talked to called me up to see if I was okay. And all I could tell him was God told me it's the same number as it was in December. He looked at me and said, yes, it is. I said, come on now.
That's good.
See, I prayed first before I went to CNN. I prayed first before I went to Google.
That's good.
I said, let them confirm what God says, because they're going to tell me anything. And I need to know, because you'll freak out. It's a lot of money.
Before you went to CNN and Google, you prayed.
I prayed.
There you go. That's good. So there's been a whole lot. We didn't kind of have a certain pattern. We just kind of shared some wisdom and took some questions. And there's been a whole lot said. And I trust that those that are watching, those that came on for at least a short period of time, you heard something, you got something that you can take from here and start kind of applying with your finances during this whole pandemic crisis, whatever you want to call it. But in closing tonight, I want both of you to give us just 30 seconds of wisdom for the people that are watching as it relates to their finances in this season.
You first.
So the piece of wisdom I would give people is something that was mentioned earlier is being intentional. With everything you do, make sure you're intentional. It's like anything, you win at what you're intentional at. Like our marriage. If I'm intentional about loving on her, we're gonna win at that.
That's right.
If you're intentional about your money, you're gonna win it. You're gonna win with your money. So whether it's going grocery shopping, making that budget, if you're intentional about that, you're gonna win at it. Like you said, you don't accidentally wake up and you're prosperous. You have a lot of money. You take small intentional steps to get to that goal.
That's good. Be intentional. Darlene, give us. Therese, give us something.
What I could say is, if you didn't prepare for this pandemic, you didn't have an emergency fund, and you're sitting there with your stimulus check, wondering what to do with it, this is a perfect opportunity to start. It's a start. It may not be 3 to 6 months of expenses, but it's a start. It's better than running into emergency with nothing. So
that's right.
That's good.
Right. Because that's not a good feeling to already be living tight or paycheck to paycheck in a sense, and then something like this hits, and you're just out. And you have no funds. You don't even have 1 month of something put up. So that's great advice. Start where you are, putting something away to start building for the next thing. Thank you all. Darlene?
Intentional. And I think that, go back, don't eat your seed. Go back, look at some of these teachings that you've gotten from church, because I had to look at one of them that said, I remember it said, you're supposed to have 4 streams of income. And I remember distinctly hearing that and hitting my spirit going, yes, I got 4 streams of income and ain't none of them doing anything because I half did them. Okay. So you have enough word. And what I would encourage you is that you are prepared for this. But you need to be intentional and you need to hear. There's no surprises with God. And you can come through this, but you gotta hear, and not lean to your own understanding.
It's good.
Yeah. Good. Hey, can I say one more thing?
Sure, you sure can. Go ahead.
Because I know a lot of church people, and we ran into this a lot. Where do you draw that line between faith and fear or not believing? I just want to let people know, don't use faith as an excuse to be reckless. A lot of times we blame everything on faith, and it's like, I'm gonna just do what I want to do because God will provide. Well, He provides, but it's your job to steward over it.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. Most people that use that, Al, don't even understand what faith is. It's just a religious statement that ends up getting us in trouble. And now we want God to bail us out of something that we got ourselves in terms of our finances. And so, yes, she said something equivalent to that when she first started. Don't be using faith when you should be using.
Yeah, never use your faith when you should be using wisdom.
Right. Yeah. So so that's the balance of this is so key. Yes, God will provide for us, but we shouldn't be out here it's kind of like the Bible talks about, if you drink any deadly thing, it won't harm you. That doesn't mean go around drinking poison.
Right.
That means that in the event you drink something that's not good, God will protect you. You know what I'm saying? And so same thing with our monies. And we've all had to come through this and learn this. So wherever you are on this call, don't beat yourself up. Start where you are. Now. If all you have is the money you got in your stimulus thing today, start right there. Don't eat your seed. And save some of that, or buy some bread with a portion of it. But start with what you have. I think God blesses the work of our hands. You just mentioned you win at what you're intentional about. If you're intentional about taking this wisdom tonight and putting it to work, man, God's going to do wonders with it. Trust me. You'll see monies coming from places you didn't know monies were, and you can start building. You can start building. You can start putting money away. You can start saving and doing things you've never done before. And so thank you for being on tonight. Thank you to the Joneses. Thank you to Darlene. Somebody said we need a part 2. I would love to do a part 2 of this, and I would love to add Jason Mitchell. Is Jason still online tonight? I would like to add him, the mortgage guy, because he's still on here. We got to answer questions regarding that. For not this, should I buy a home, but for those who already have a home. Because I know a lot of people who have raced to get refinances and not thought through that. Because all they heard was my note is going to be lower. Yeah. My mortgage is going to be, $400 cheaper a month. You got to balance all of this out, and you got to get wisdom on the thing. And all of your getting, get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing, but in all of your getting, get understanding. And I think sometimes we know more than we understand. We know more than we understand. You got to get understanding so you can push through and produce for yourself and your family at will. And so I'm so glad that you guys are practical. Al shared all the things that he's done and doing right now and saving and putting away and all the things that you've done, Darlene, and didn't do and you're fixing and all of that. It's great tools for us to run with. So everybody on the call should have gotten something that they can take away, right? Yeah. So listen, if you enjoyed tonight's call, I can't hear you clapping, so clap on the feed or put some hearts on the feed. Say amen. Say thank you to the Joneses and thank you to Darlene. Come on, put it in the feed so they can see the love and the appreciation of their time tonight. Because these times for me are precious. I don't want to just have church. I don't want to just have service during this time. I want us to sit down weekly and talk through how to live during this time, how to, in crisis, rest in Christ and win in every area. Yeah. That's really our hearts right now. So if you got some out of this, thank you. Come on, say it on here so they can see it, not for me. Thank you. Yeah, say their name, give some claps and some hearts. And then when you finish that, if you haven't already, you take a moment to give. She mentioned several times, don't eat your seed. This is not the time to stop giving. It's not the time to draw back because you feel like, man, things are crazy. I probably should be holding on to everything. This is not the time to do that. You have to continue giving because it's going to keep you in the place where it is God's plan to financially prosper you and provide for you. So don't stop. Don't let this pull you off of what you know to work for your house. You know it works for your house. You don't have to be convinced. You know it works for your house. Don't come off of it now because things have happened in the world, okay? So go ahead and take a moment to give. While you're doing that, there are some things coming up this weekend on Friday night. Tell them about Friday.
Friday, ladies, winning women. You can make some noise on Facebook.
That's your thing.
Make some noise. Well, we're doing a couple virtual events. So we wanted to make sure that we stayed in contact with our winning women during this crisis. So on this Friday at 7 p.m., we're going to have a Facebook Live. We're going to have some girl chat. Wow. We're going to have some health information with Kay Monell and Ayana Shaw on our team. So make sure you come to our Facebook page. It's going to be on the Winning Women Facebook page, but I'll be sharing it from my page as well. So make sure you are there. And that is Friday the 17th.
Yeah.
And then next week, so that's Girl Chat and Maintaining Your Health with Kay and Yanni. And so next week, next Friday.
Tell them about next week.
Tell them about next week.
Tell them about next week.
Next week, listen, next week we're going to be cooking with Zeta Cooks. And Therese is going to be back on here telling us how to budget because sometimes, ladies, we like to spend. So she's going to give us some more tips just for us ladies on budgeting.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, the 1st of May, we have another virtual event. It's going to be, get this, organizing your closet.
Perfect time to do
with
that.
Sharetta. It's the perfect time to do that. And DIY with Shani. So some projects that you can get done throughout this time. I know we've been in here for a month now, a little bit over a month now, but it's still not too late to start some projects, finish some projects, to organize your closet. So ladies, we're going to have an awesome time these next 3 Fridays. And then, hey, who knows? We might continue on you know, more Fridays
But
after that.
that's the next 3 Fridays. Y'all
That's
got
the
it
next
laid
3
out.
Fridays. We got it laid out for
Girl time.
Girl time.
Virtual events.
Yep.
She's not stopping nothing. So go ahead and put the kids in the other room or whatever, or hold them on your lap and
Give them to your husband.
yeah.
Or sit them with their, you know, the older siblings.
But it's gonna be good. I've
Gonna
kind of heard them planning it on their calls and things like that. So the next 3 weeks, women virtual events. And then
Facebook Live Fridays.
Yeah, that's what y'all call it.
That's what we call
That's what y'all call it.
That's what we
Okay.
call
And then,
Saturday. You tell them about Saturday.
well, you can tell them too. Well, Saturday we had this planned already. It's called Communication Lab. And it was going to be offsite, some really fun things planned around it, but we're going to still do it, just do it online. And we're going to kind of talk about how we can still include some of those fun parts in there. It is free. It is for married and unmarried. Just tune in at 6 o'clock on Saturday. And we're going to talk about talking. One of the things that really stuck out for us is during this time, so many couples are having a rough time because they're not used to being together so much. They're having a rough time communicating and all that. I even heard that domestic violence has went up, and domestic abuse has went up just with children, not just spousal stuff. And so that's because we're not used to being in the same place for so long. Although we live together, we're always moving, we're always going. So somebody's coming in, somebody's coming out. And so we want to spend some time this Saturday, practical, of course, engaging with you, questions, answers. We're going to do, hopefully we can do some case scenarios or something, and talking about talking, communicating about communicating, give some principles and see how it works for your house, okay? And because that's the biggest thing with any relationship, it goes back to communication. So join us Saturday. We've got a busy week for Communication Lab, and then Friday night is Facebook Live Friday with women. And so, yeah, your whole weekend is already planned, and then we're back on Sunday for service. So thank you all for your giving. I want London to, well, no, I don't have her pray. I'll have one of you all pray. One of our special guests, although they're not guests, they're family and they're part of our local community. But Pastor Al, can you close us out in prayer tonight and seal the information that we've received, so we can go forth in Jesus' name?
Yes, Father God, we just come to you right now, and just to thank you for this opportunity to share. Father, we just ask that hearts have been softened, oh Lord, to receive what it is that they should hear personally, oh Lord Jesus. And Father God, that they will take this and run with it, Father God. And Father, we know this, it's you that give provision, Father, but it is up to us to steward over what you have given us, oh God. So Father God, we thank you right now. We praise you. We love you. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Again, thank you to the Joneses. Now, tell them about your YouTube channel and all that so they can get in touch with you all and keep up with you all. Tell them.
So y'all can find us on YouTube. YouTube name is We Are the Joneses. And we just sharing our journey of being debt-free and tips and tricks that we've come to learn and do to get us to that point of paying off debt. So that's We Are the Joneses on YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe, like, watch the videos, all of that.
Check them out, please.
It's excellent, subscribe. So I don't have to do nothing.
Yeah, subscribe so you can know when they're on. It'll alert you. Yeah. Also, Darlene, tell them how to get in touch with you if they have questions or your business. Go ahead.
Well, I have a website. It's riversandassociates.com. So you can just go to my site and leave a comment or ask a question, and I will get right back to you.
Well, people, it's been great. This has been a wealth of knowledge. I pray you have good notes, and I pray that the next time we meet, you'll already have done something with what you heard.
Right.
In Jesus' name. All right, see you. Good night.
Good night.
Happy quarantine.